Thank you, Chairman Bulova. I have to follow that, and I did not bring my 2-year-old or my 6-year-old with me. I'm sorry. I will be better prepared next time. Good evening. My name is Kimberly Adams. I am the president of the Fairfax Education Association, and it is with great pride that my organization supports the school board's request for funds. To say that Dr. Garza and her staff have worked hard is an understatement. This is the closest that I can recall in the 15 years that FCPS has been coming to meet their budget guidance, despite significant cost drivers, as you heard outlined by Chairman Derenak Koufax. As president of the FEA, I first represent the interests of the employees that I serve. As the Board of Supervisors, it is your job to represent the interests of the county in the whole budget. It is your job to raise the revenues needed to meet the needs of the county. But this year, you have chosen to tie your own hands and then tried to excuse your actions by saying that your hands were tied. You've decided not to raise the tax rate or even advertise the possibility of a rate increase, so that in public hearings like these, your constituents could tell you what we need. And you did that without public input. Here's what your proposed county budget does not do. It will not keep our schools world class. It will not address all the service gaps that state and federal Medicaid cuts have caused. It can't possibly enrich the lives of students who desperately need one-on-one counseling and medical and healthcare services and community-based programs. It isn't working to ensure that we achieve a preschool classroom for every 3- and 4-year-old in Fairfax County. It likely won't maintain a fast enough response time necessary for our first responders to save lives. It does not provide for upkeep of open spaces that we have specifically preserved. It won't address the shortage of voting machines and keep pace with early voting options. It doesn't keep the promise of housing and dignity for struggling Fairfax families. This proposed budget is a sham, and our community recognizes that we are being shortchanged. Fairfax is the 5th wealthiest county in the United States, and yet you tell us that we lack resources? Nearby Montgomery and Arlington counties have found the will to properly compensate their employees. The Loudoun County Board of Supervisors has recently listened to their constituents and agreed to fully fund their school board's request. And where are we? We are falling behind. Fairfax schools have nearly 1,000 euphemistically named modular education units, or trailers. We have multiple schools on the state watch list, and the number of schools is actually increasing. Some might say that that comes with changing demographics, but maybe if we fully and appropriately funded all our county services, including outreach to struggling families, we would not have this problem. You have told us to find somewhere else to cut, and there is nothing left for us to cut but our children's futures, their hopes and dreams. Supervisor McKay, we are marching on Richmond in conjunction with the Virginia PTA on April 18th, and I hope you might join us. You all talk about employee compensation, and most of you seem to pay lip service to how important this is. We are all your employees across the county, and we hope that one day you might not parse us into competing groups to fight over pieces of a shrinking pie. It is you who have made the choices that require us to pick and choose between education and safety, between repaired roads and public parks, and I remind you that most of my 26,000 colleagues in FCPS are residents in Fairfax County. Some are business owners, many are parents, and some want to someday be parents, and we are all Virginia taxpayers and your employees. This budget, and I'm sad to say some of you, are stuck in the last decade. Some of you began to question if education, parks, libraries, and health services were even necessary for the residents of Fairfax County. Fairfax residents were spared an expense of a few pennies on every $100 of their home values. You're wrong if you think that people who own homes here want to see our county decline, and with it our housing values and their eventual sales prices. Those sales prices become much more important as people consider leaving Fairfax, either to live in jurisdictions where their representatives share their values, perhaps Loudoun County, or to retire to other places in the country. Residents in Loudoun County spoke out, and again, the supervisors listened. Their voices were heard. Here in Fairfax, we've been told this is a difficult time to ask for improved funding. After all, it's an election year. It is true that it is an election year, and FEA, for one, will be working hard to let our members know which elected officials have supported them and which had their own interests at heart, causing permanent damage to our county for the sake of a few pennies. As the governing body in Fairfax County, I ask you, my Board of Supervisors, to fully fund our county services, invest in Fairfax now and for years to come. Invest in Fairfax County.